Hey tubers, welcome back to my linked list tutorial. This is part 2 of my linked list tutorial. Linked list. And today we're going to talk about how to add nodes to the list. Okay, so let's create an arbitrary linked list here. So if you forgot what a node looks like, please refer to my part 1 of the video if you need a refresher. But here we're just going to create a list of 3 nodes. Okay, so we're going to have here a node, and this is the data section as we talked about, and today we're going to use integers as a data type. So say this node holds an integer 2, and this is the link section of the node, which is going to hold a reference to the next node, and that next node is going to hold a integer of 7, and it's going to reference yet another node, and our final node, which is going to hold a integer of 10, and this is going to be our final node. And the slash here denotes that it's not pointing to anything, so it's essentially the end of the list. It's null. Alright, so unlike the arrays, linked list does not have random access, and only way to traverse the list is access through the head node. So we need somehow to reference the beginning of the list. In this case, the 2 here is the beginning of the list, but we need some way to reference that that's the head of the list. So in a program, you typically have a pointer called head, which is going to be another node. So we're just going to create a pointer here, and I'm going to reference that as, oh, it's too light to make that red. Okay, so I'm going to reference this node as head. Okay, and normally we'll also have a tail to reference the end of the list, but we're just going to skip that for now. So just remember, the head is pointing to the first node in the list, and that's going to give us access to traverse the list and do whatever we want with it. So today we're talking, in this video we're talking about how to add nodes. There are 3 cases, which is mainly to add the node in the beginning of the list, at the end of the list, so just make the last node in the list point to the new node that is created, and somewhere in the middle. We're going to cover all the 3 cases in this video. So the first case is to how to add a node in the front. So let's write that down here. So front. Okay, and we're going to recreate our list. Fast forward this if you like. So we had 2 referencing, holding a reference to the next node, which is holding 7, and this holds a reference to the next node in our list, which is holding 10, and that's null. And we also have a pointer here to denote that this is the head of the list. Alright, so to add to the front of the list, this is pretty easy. You would create a new node. So let's say we create a new node here. Denote that by new node. And so you need some way to change this, and let's say it contains a integer of 8. So you need some way to link this new node to the existing list. And that's why you need the head. Okay, so here what we're going to do is make the the link portion of this new node point to the head of the list, which in this case this 2 here, and then what we're going to do is make the pointer of head, erase this arrow, make this head point to the new node, and that's it. So now our newly created list would look like this. So head is pointing to 8 as the head of the list, and link is having holding a reference to the next node in the list, which in this case is 2. This is holding the next reference, holding a reference to the next node, which is 7, and this is holding a reference to the next node in the list, which is 10, and that's the last one, so we denote that by a slash. That's adding to the front. Now to cover a case of adding to the rear, oops, change up colors. So this is going to be rear. Let's have our new list. Oops, that's way too big. Let's say 2. 7, and 10. This is our head. That's denoted by slash, referring to the end of the list. So if you want to add to the rear of the list, or the tail, you create a new node. Change up colors one more time to refer to a new node created. So this is going to be our new node. Okay, and it's gonna, let's say it's gonna hold integer 3, and it's gonna reference nothing because we're adding it to the end of the list. And here we simply have to make the tail of the list point to its reference link to the new node. Okay, that's it. It's very simple. So let's say this node was called I don't know, let's say A, and this was B. You would say A dot next equals B, and that's it. That's adding to the tail or the rear. And finally, a little more tricky, is adding to the middle of the list. Okay, so this is somewhere in the middle. Let's recreate our list here. So we have 2 referencing next node, which is 7. We're referencing final node, which is 10, and that's null. And this is also our head. We have a head pointer pointing to the first node in the list. Okay, so let's say we want to add a node somewhere between 7 and 10, right? So first what we need to do is create a new node. So this is going to be a new node. And let's say it holds 8. Okay, so this is the very important step here. We can't simply make 7, a node containing 7, point to this new node, because we will lose the reference to the final node. Okay, this 7 node is the only one that knows about 10. And if we do something like this as a first step, this is gone. Okay, this is no longer referenced. So it's kind of like cutting it out and deleting it. That's not what we want to do, because we're just adding nodes here. So very, very critical point here to remember when you add nodes in the middle is to take your new node and point it to, let's say this is the predecessor, right? Whatever it's called, and this is successor. Okay, so we got to make the new node link part point to predecessor's next node, which is this. Okay, so now this node right here is pointing to the final node, and so is this. So we don't lose this, we do this part right here, so we don't lose the reference to the last node. And the final part here is to make the predecessor of this 2 nodes right here, its next, make that point to our new node. And now this link is cut here, and we have a final list of, this is going to be our resulting list, and 10, and this is going to be the head. Okay, this is very important, and when you add to the middle, wherever you want, somewhere that's not the head or the tail, you must remember to keep track or keep the reference of the predecessor's next, whatever the predecessor of the successor node is pointing to. We must keep track of this node right here. This is very important. Otherwise you will lose it, and you're not going to have the result that you wanted to have. And by the way, I'm going to, at the end of this tutorial, not the end of this tutorial, next part is going to be talking about how to delete a node from the list. And after that, I believe I'm going to implement everything that we talked about in Java. So if you're wondering how this all works in code, you'll be able to see that in the upcoming videos. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. If you have any questions or comments, just write them in the comment section below, and I'll try to answer them as quick as possible. Or if something was unclear, or if I made a mistake, I will contact you. If you write comments in the section below. Thank you for watching.